What's up everyone, Sam from the Airsoft headquarters here and welcome back. I was looking at my general video feed for the channel and one thing I realized is I don't have nearly enough G&G products for how much we enjoy talking about G&G and having G&G products here in the store. So let's talk about some of the new G&G stuff, starting with the PCC45. Now this is going to be a general overview specifically of the G&G PCC45 because it is a very unique and a different style of rifle system coming from G&G or really available on the market, period. We have been seeing a trend with more airsoft manufacturers starting to get into the SMG or the PDW manufacturing platform series. And G&G for sure has been a part of that trend as well. What I personally believe has started the SMG and PDW trend for airsoft was the G&G ARP9, which has gained a huge amount of traction and a huge amount of use on the player base and has just really started exploding the entire airsoft market with more PDWs and with more SMGs. So here, in our personal opinions, is a very unique and stylized platform from G&G. Now the PCC45 has a very close resemblance to that of the HK UMP or UMP. It has been seen more often in video games, movies, and TV series, and then the PCC45, the real firearm counterpart, has been more utilized within movies and TV series and even video games nowadays compared to the UMP. In my personal opinion, the PCC45 is going to be a little bit more tacticalized, a little bit more modern edition of the UMP. Now, they're not going to have an exact manufacturing connection, but they are very close in style. Now, this same connection can be drawn between the MP5 and the MPX, both very similar as far as the type of magazines that they utilized. The MPX is going to be a little bit more modern looking compared to the MP5. So there is a series of connections of older classic firearms being kind of modernized and now currently being manufactured by other manufacturers within the real world as well. The G&G PCC45 is going to be utilizing an all polymer construction of stock, polymer upper and lower receiver, polymer grip, a metal front modular rail system featuring a modernized G2 gearbox with the 4th generation of G&G ETU MOSFET. So it is going to be bulked up internally and externally. It is going to have a whole new style from G&G as well, from their new series. Like with most overview videos, we are going to be going from the tip to the butt, classic or anthem style, I know. So up at the very top here, we do have the standardized federal orange tip. Now this is going to be a little bit more unique because it is going to be a bird cage style. It is pinned in place. It is not directly removable. You do have to go through a couple of steps in order to remove. First and foremost, do not use boiling water. Cannot tell people enough not to utilize boiling water, especially with the fact that your wiring system is right here in the handguard here. So you do not want to use boiling water in order to get that orange tip off. On the front handguard, on the 3, 6, and 9 o'clock position is going to be M-lock slots for you to mount whatever other accessories you want, such as those flashlights, those lasers, vertical grips on the side, whatever you want. They are going to be the more modernized and more slim line of rail attachment series. It is worth noting that the 3 and 9 o'clock position of rail systems are going to be a 4-slot system, and the very bottom is going to be just a 2-slot. Now the reason that it is going to be a 2-slot and not the 4-slot, because your rail system, which hides your battery compartment space, is going to have a disassembly lever on the very bottom here. So to do that, you hook your finger inside of there, pull down, and then slide that entire rail system off, just like that. Now inside of there is your battery compartment space with this battery housing shield, which I appreciate due to the fact that I have the SIG MCX, which is going to be that one right there that I've got my finger against. That's the SIG MCX. That one has the battery up in the handguard system as well, but does not feature a battery protection shield, which is why I went with the battery compartment up on the very top there and rerouted my wiring system, because I was a little concerned about any type of water, whether it be like spilled water or rain or falling into a creek or even getting impacted by BB fragments. That was a concern of mine, which is why I went with the PEC battery instead of loosey-goosey in the handguard. G&G has done the same thing with the battery in the handguard, but has a thin aluminum or tin? I'm going to go with aluminum. A thin aluminum protection shield in order to house or protect it from BB and from most water. It's not going to protect it from all water because water is fluid, and if you just drop your rifle into a creek, it is going to get wet. The battery compartment space is going to be a little bit more generous compared to other types of platforms that have the battery up in the handguard system, such as the ASG CZ Scorpion Evo. Those that you know are going to be a very tight and particular battery compartment space that you do need to get very specific batteries for. So very good that they did go with a little bit larger and a little bit more generous battery storage space. Speaking of the battery itself specifically, we have been confirmed from our G&G rep to utilize only 20C discharge batteries, specifically the LiPo batteries, because 30C or 25C can be a little bit too much and can damage those internal ETU MOSFETs. So for anyone that would be utilizing those 30C batteries, the lithium batteries specifically, I would suggest going with a 20C discharge battery specifically, just to help preserve those internals. So that's what we have there. Gave you the heads up on the battery and heads up on the battery compartment space. As of right now, there is no aftermarket rail system available that I am aware of. So hopefully in the future there will be options for a slightly longer. I think that would be a good look to me personally, to go with a slightly elongated one. I do like that they went with a locking system on the very front here. Instead of having to completely disassemble your upper receiver with the SIG MCX, I keep messing that up. Now you can just take that handguard off instead of having to pop that receiver pin and then having your upper receiver sit a little loose as you try to get that rail off in order to fit the battery, and then you have to juggle and make sure the upper receiver is held tight to the lower receiver, and you gotta juggle all that. Not really a fan. So very cool that they went with this locking system here, and it actually applies tension backwards, holding that rail system back. Very cool that they went with that. I appreciate that. Now, like I said before, the receiver system for the PCC45 is going to be an all polymer construction. However, it is going to be a higher strength of polymer, so it's not going to bend or creak or flatten out on you as you play. It is going to be rough and rigid, which allows for a cut of weight actually, so you have less overall weight to make it more maneuverable, and you can physically hold it up in a position for longer periods of time without any type of fatigue. So we like those a lot. Another thing with this is the receiver is 100% ambidextrous, which is really no surprise. More companies are going with full ambidextrous controls, which is really appreciated by anyone that utilizes left-handed style of shooting. So everything as far as that selector switch is left and right-handed, and even someone who is right-hand based, I feel that the left-hand controls do have a good amount of control to them. The imitation or the operating bolt release, so we have that guy on the left and right hand. The charging handle is going to be a newer style of folding and actuating bolt release or bolt action. So very, very unique. And then rotary style of hop up, very nice feature. Everyone is going with the rotary hop up. It is just overall much better. The receiver does have some unique accents and flares to it, such as the magazine flare or the mag well flare, which is supposed to make it, within theory, make it easier to load your magazines into the receivers. I don't really see it as a need. That's generally something that's needed for speed shooting, as far as like competitive shooting, which is being added to more real firearm receivers, having that flared mag well. But as far as like airsoft and stuff, you don't really need a flared mag well. I mean, even the MP5 doesn't have a flared mag well, but I'm reloading at the same speed and accuracy as far as getting that magazine into the receiver. So it's a cool look. It's definitely a look, but as far as like a beneficial feature, I don't think it's there. What I do like is that the actual magazine release is the tab back here. And if you look closely on the very back or bottom part of that receiver, they do make it to where it's large enough to fit your thumb and to have a lot of real estate for you to apply force with your thumb in order to release that magazine and rip it out. A lot of AR base shooters do prefer to have a right hand or a independent magazine release. So if they had the magazine in the receiver and they need to reload, they could drop the magazine with their right hand while grabbing the next magazine with this, and then applying it like that. Can't do that at all. You have to reach up with your left hand, pull that magazine out, and then get the next one and insert it. Quick little note, there is a follower system on your magazine, so you are going to do those really cool guy magazine reload drills. Make sure you insert that follower system before you go and rip that magazine into the mag well. Otherwise, you could break your follower, break your magazine, and then you're out a whole magazine. So make sure you don't do that. The classic G&G flat face of trigger is now included on there, which is cool, unique. With the G&G ETU MOSFET, there is going to be a little button, a little micro switch. It's not a true micro switch, but it's still a switch or a button that is engaged. It's not traditional contacts. So with it not having traditional contacts, you can ride the wall as far as getting that button or spamming the button in order to get the system rolling, which does send more BBs down range, which can start to engage overshooting. And then once people start to overshoot, then everyone gets upset, and then it's no longer good to play airsoft. So I'm not personally a huge fan of that, but a lot of people want to run with it. So whatever. On the very back of the receiver is going to be another sling loop. And I think that is it as far as independent sling loops. You can craft something back here on this hole and something on this hole. But as far as like a point to attach your sling, there's just this block and then a quick detach sling mount here. Now what is cool is that these are able to flippy flop. So this can be mounted onto the right hand side of the rifle or back to the left hand side of the rifle, however you want to run it. And then this is actually detachable, so you can run it on any of the M-LOK slots on the left hand side or on the right hand side, or if you want to be creative, put it on the 2 slots there on the bottom here. You have full control there. I'm not sure why someone would put it on the very bottom there, but they do have that as an option. The continuation on the back here, there is a folding stock. And to my knowledge, there's only one stock option available, and that is the current folding one. It does look like it is removable, so if you wanted to run it just as a compact pistol platform without the stock, so you would have it like this. Well, actually, you would have it like this. That is removable. What is cool as well is that this, the PCC45, does feature a true quick change spring system with that G2 gearbox. There is not a whole lot of other rifle systems from G&G that would be a true quick change spring system. And I got to make it very clear, there is a distinction between quick change and true quick change. A lot of people are going to be advertising online that certain rifle systems, like the Crytek's, are a quick change system. However, it is not a true quick change system. So a quick change system can mean that it is easy access, or you still have to completely disassemble the gearbox away from the lower receiver, which is not really a quick change spring system, which we hate that terminology. So we have been coining true quick change because if it only takes 30 seconds, maybe a little less in order to get access to the rear of that gearbox, then that's a true quick change and you can truly quick change it. So what you need is a 3mm Allen screw. On the very back are 2 long screws that you are going to work loose. And I'm going to sit here and demonstrate for you. How you guys doing today? I'm doing okay. It's a cold Friday, so hopefully it'll warm up a little bit, but it seems stormy. How's work going? Oh, you got that? You got that thing? Good for you. I'm happy for you. And just like that, we got access to the back of the gearbox with those 2 screws that we then took off. And then, unfortunately, there is a little bit of a rat's nest of wiring back here that we do need to carefully pull away. And that will give us access to the back of the gearbox with an 8mm Allen screw. Or is it a 6mm? I think it's the 8mm. We're gonna check here. It's the 8mm. So push in, rotate 45 degrees, and out comes your spring guide rod. Woo-wee! Which I've got right here. And that gives you access to the entire internal spring. Wow, 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 wow. So this should be shooting 320 to 340 feet per second. If you wanted to go even lower, you have access to do that, just like that. Or if for some reason you wanted to go even higher than that, you have access to do that. So then, to reassemble, I'm going to show you guys right now, real time what that looks like. Spring guide in, rotate, turn 45, make sure it's locked into place. Get the screws, make sure that the wiring is semi out of place, and make sure they're out of the way of the screw holes. That will make this a little difficult. And what I do personally is I will install the lower one first, and I'll make sure that as I apply force downwards, that bottom screw makes contact, and I can begin to screw it in with my right hand. Make sure that it's in there. And then get the top one. And just like that, they are in place. So go back to my 3mm Allen screw and then begin the tightening process. You guys having fun this weekend? What field are you gonna go play at? Are you going to that one? I heard some pretty good things about that one. I think you'll have some fun. And just like that, you have gained access to that internal spring. You have potentially swapped springs, and then you're ready to rock and roll. But bam, easy peasy. Look at that, true quick change. Gotta appreciate it. And like I said, there's also the folding stock here, which is all polymer. It is not adjustable unless you want the option of folded in versus folded out, in which case those are your only adjustable options. At this point, this is, I think, a pretty good average length for the average shooter. Now, I am a 6 foot tall individual, so in relation to my arm length is average, I guess. But take it for what it's worth. I put that into my shoulder, lean down and over, and I think that that is a good amount of length for me to have. I still have control. If I want to do like a C-clamp, it's right at the end of that rail system, so I can do that in order to get a really low profile shooting stance. I could even go a little tighter and tuck that elbow in a little inwards if I really wanted to get a low profile, which that starts to look a little weird. But if you're trying to shoot through a window and want a small profile, that's your option. Otherwise, C-clamp it like a motherfucking boss hog. So one last additional note for the PCC45 is with that ETU MOSFET system, you do have the option to program full auto to a 3-round burst. The way that looks like as far as getting to that programming sequence is Removing the magazine, if you're in a safe environment, make sure you do clear that inner barrel, make sure there's no BB inside of there. With the battery in, you are going to put that selector to semi, press and hold the trigger down for 10 total seconds. Now this is going to initiate one shot, so you do have to make sure that you are clearing that chamber beforehand. Press and holding for 10 seconds, then there is going to be a little beep sequence, and then you can flip it to full auto, and then you are going to get a 3-round burst. To go from a 3-round burst back to full auto, you just repeat those steps. Remove magazine, clear the chamber, put the selector to semi, press and hold for 10 seconds. There's going to be one single shot of pulling the trigger. After 10 seconds, there is going to be a beep sequence to initiate the audible process that you have gone from 3-round burst to full auto. So I tried to blow through that pretty quickly. So overall, this is a very nifty and unique rifle system. The fact that it does have that true quick change spring system is truly a game changer. There are not a whole lot of rifle systems out there that is a true quick change. The G36 is a series that does. The SIG MCX has a true quick change system. The MP5 has a true quick change system. The KWAs have a true quick change system, and there's a couple other brands that also have them. But most notably in my collection, those are the ones that have them. So, will this make it into my collection? Maybe. The fact that it is a lower price point and does feature the G2 gearbox with the current generation of ETU MOSFET system and has all those really cool and unique features, again, at a lower price point relative to other G2 gearboxes, is a very unique thing. Now, I can't exactly advertise the selling price of this rifle system because YouTube would flag it and hate it, and they're probably gonna hate it already, but you know what? I don't particularly care, but I do want to make it to where it is still, the video is not restricted as far as viewability, so I'm not going to put the price point down here, but you could still follow the link down below if you wanted to see what the total price point is. Like I said, in relation to other G2 gearboxes, this is significantly lower priced. So I would suggest picking this up. It could be worth it if you did enjoy it. Would it make it to my collection? Probably. There is a very good chance this will end up in my collection. There's a lot of really cool features. Most everything about it is standardized and has a lot of great features to it. So hopefully as an overview video, this was enough information for you. If this does get enough traction of a video, maybe I'll do like an in-depth review video, but we'll see how that goes. So if you have any further questions about the PCC45, put them down in the comment section below. I'll do my best to answer each and every single one of those. And then we're all done here. So you guys take care, stay safe, stay positive, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.